Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on The Flash Season 4. So The Flash is back in just 2 days time from when this video is going up. We have Supergirl coming back tomorrow, and then Flash along with the premiere of Black Lightning the day after, and then Arrow a couple of days later. So very exciting times right now if you're a fan of DC TV. But do be sure to let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions, theories, or just comments on what you think of the video that I'm about to go through, as well as being sure to drop a like on the video to show support, and of course subscribing to the channel if you are new. But the other day we talked about how Jesse Quick would be returning to The Flash this season on her way back to presumably Central City to help Barry and Team Flash out with something that will most likely be more difficult than usual. We talked about how they are finishing up episode 14 of this season most likely when she came to Vancouver to film, but also how Danielle Panabaker, who plays Caitlin Snow, tweeted out that they had just done the table read for episode 15. Which obviously meant that they would be about to record that episode. So due to this, we were left a bit confused on whether they were still filming episode 14 or getting ready to film episode 15, or possibly both. They could have just been finishing up the last of episode 14's filming, which required Violet Bean, who plays Jesse Quick, and then they were going to jump straight into episode 15's production. The reason I'm going over all of this again is due to the fact that another actor who plays a pretty well-known speedster on the show has actually returned to filming for the show for the first time this season. And as you should be able to tell by the title, that is of course John Wesley Shipp, who of course plays Jay Garrick. So Discussing Film on Twitter is reporting that John Wesley Shipp is back on set as Jay Garrick on The Flash currently. Now, as I said, it is hard to precisely tell whether they are on episode 14 or 15, but seeing as he is just, getting in now, I would be pretty solid on placing Jay Garrick as returning in episode 15 of this season, and possibly be joined by Jesse Quick. Now, for those wondering, okay, Discussing Film, I'm not too sure if they're a reliable source. John Wesley Shipp, who actually plays Jay Garrick, liked the tweet. He gave it a like. Usually that confirms things. Something similar happened last season. He liked a tweet for an episode, rumor that he was coming back. He ended up coming back. So he liked the tweet. That basically confirms that he is coming back in one of these two episodes. Now, as I talked about in my video from the other day on Jesse Quick, Violet Bean arrived into Vancouver to film for The Flash, and now with the addition of Jay Garrick, I believe we will be getting a Flash family team-up of sorts against a force that I'm sure will be quite the task for both Barry and Team Flash to take down. This will most likely be in episode 15, and it would be a perfect time for all of these speedsters to come together. Now, why is that, you might ask? Well, let's actually go through all of that. Episode 15 of this season of The Flash is reported to be entitled Enter Flashtime. Now, that title does heavily suggest something involving either the Speed Force, speedsters in general, and possibly even time travel, or in the special case, all three, if not even more stuff. To me, it even sounds like Enter Hyperspace from Star Wars. We all know what happens when they do enter hyperspace. Now, they did say at Comic-Con that there wouldn't be any time travel this season, and you would have to hold them to their word there and believe there won't be any time travel at all this season. However, they could just implement a bit of it into this episode if relevant, where it doesn't come off like such a big thing and doesn't play too much of a role with the story. So with Jay Garrick back in this episode, and presumably Jesse Quick being in this episode as well, what could or should we expect to see go down? Well, my best guess is that it could be around something that was established back in episode 1 of this season, something that many people have brought back up throughout this season, wondering whether or not if it actually had any meaning or purpose for the season, or if it was just a gimmick that the show tried to use to just sort of keep us somewhat invested in another storyline. And that is of course the Speed Force symbols that we saw Barry riding everywhere after he escaped the Speed Force. After episode 1, these symbols haven't really been referenced from my memory at least, and if they have been referenced, they weren't really referenced, if you know what I mean. They weren't brought up again to understand what they meant or anything like that. They might have just been mentioned subtly. So in episode 15, I do feel we will see the exploration into what they could mean, or at least begin that journey, and then in the episodes to follow, we could see these symbols be fully decrypted by Team Flash, along with the help of, Jay and Jesse and maybe some others they might bring in. Maybe Tracy Brand could return, who knows. One theory around these symbols, which I believe to be true, I wasn't the one to come up with this, just making that clear. I just remember it being circulated around Twitter for the main part, so I'm just going to guess that's where its origins lie, on Twitter. Anyway, one theory around the symbols is that they will actually be connected to the takedown of the Thinker. In previous episodes, when we saw Clifford DeVoe working, you could see him writing down symbols that did look very, very similar to the one, that Barry was writing down when he was all frazzled after the Speed Force. So you would have to think that we would be revisiting these symbols at some point in the season, whether it be to get the heads up on DeVoe and his plan and possibly figure out what he is up to, or at least give us some type of clue or hint Or possibly Barry may be forced by DeVoe, whether it's through mind control or something of that nature, to decipher these symbols and this language and help him with whatever he is trying to do. And this is where Jay and possibly Jesse could get brought into all of it to prevent Barry from doing this for DeVoe, because God knows what the consequences of that could be. But in summary, you would have to think that this episode has to do with something based around the Speed Force or something with speedsters. The title itself, as I said earlier, does just remind me of Enter Hyperspace from Star Wars, and saying that the writers and producers of the show usually do have nods to like other pop culture properties in the show, it wouldn't surprise me if this is what they are actually going for. Those are just my thoughts though. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show your support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on what I've said in this video and just your thoughts on those theories as well. Or do you think something completely different is going to happen around this episode of Enter Flashtime? Do you have a different premise of what could be going on? If you do, let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.